Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Daniela and today I'm going to be talking you through some of my most anticipated releases for 2023. Obviously my list of books that are coming out in 2023 that I've got my eye on is a lot longer, but I decided to just pick out the ones that I was most excited about and that I haven't heard as many people talking about. So if you have watched other people's versions of this video, hopefully you'll find something new in this list that you haven't yet heard of. Now I'm a little bit late filming this video, so some of these books will have already been released. I will start telling you the dates once we get to the books that haven't yet been released. I thought it would also be fun to tell you about any special editions of those books. If I'm aware of any special editions for books, I will let you know. The first book on my list is These Bitter Blooms by Emma Hamm. As far as I can tell from the synopsis of this book, it's a fantasy romance with some dark academia vibes. So if that is your thing, or you would like to see those two genres combined, maybe try this. Our main character in this book is Thea, and one day she sees a man across the river, and they start writing to each other. I believe they live in two different kingdoms, and those kingdoms end up going to war. They start sending letters to each other, and I believe through the process of doing that, they do fall in love, but I think that's just the beginning of their story. I don't want to tell you too much because I did read the synopsis on Goodreads, and then the first review said, don't read the synopsis, it gives everything away. So I'm not going to give you the whole synopsis because I may have just ruined the book for myself. But I'm still excited nevertheless. There are two special editions that I am aware of for this book. Emma Hamm has recently done her own special edition. I am not sure if you can get it anymore. However, the Bookish box is going to be in their March YA box. So if you're signed up for the March Bookish box, you'll probably be able to get this. I think you can still sign up for the young adult box currently with Bookish box in time to get this book. Next on my list is Godkiller by Hannah Kramer. There is a Waterstones edition of this with a fancy sprayed edge, and then this is the Illumicrate edition, which has the sprayed edge and under dust jacket art. There was also an edition done with the broken binding. This is a fantasy book full of gods, and in this book we follow Kissen, who is our main character. Her family were killed by people that worship the fire god, and she now makes a living killing gods. That is, of course, until she comes across a god that she is not able to kill. From here, the plot thickens, and they realise that there is a larger threat at stake, and that they must work together to defeat it. Next, we have A Song of Silver Flame Like Night by Emily Wen Zhao. The release date for this book is the 2nd of February. This is the February Illumicrate pick, and there has been some spoilers leaked for the design of this book, and it looks like it's going to be really, really pretty. This is a young adult fantasy, and we follow our two main characters, Lan and Zen, who both have magical powers and both have secrets from each other. They've been connected by fate, but their destiny is unwritten. They both hold the power to liberate their lands, but they also both hold the power to destroy the world. This series is inspired by mythology and folklore from ancient China, and it looks like it's the first in a duology. Next we have Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. The release date for this is the 13th of April. This appears to be the first in a duology. In this book we follow two young rival journalists who end up writing to each other during a time of a war between gods. This is an enemies to lovers fantasy. It says Shadow and Bone meets Law in this epic enemies to lovers fantasy novel filled with hope and heartbreak and the unparalleled power of love. Next on my list is In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. This releases on the 25th of April, and Waterstones have done a special edition with sprayed edges. This is a cozy sci-fi about a family of robots that live in the woods. This has a Pinocchio-esque aspect with a fatherly inventor called Geo, who is one of the robots. We also have a human member of this family called Vic. Vic one day salvages and repairs an android called Hat, who actually knows Geo and unwittingly alerts other robots from Geo's past about his whereabouts. Geo is then captured and taken, and it is then up to Vic and the other family members to try and rescue Geo before he is reprogrammed. Next up we have Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This comes out on the 2nd of May. This is another fantasy book where we follow our main character who has joined a college for dragon riders. There are not enough dragons for all of the cadets, which means that you have to bond with a dragon or be killed. There is also an ongoing war raging outside of the college, creating an increased threat level, and it says that everyone at the War College has an agenda, because once you enter there are only two ways out: graduate or die. Next up we have Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb. This is the first in a trilogy, and it is due to be released on the 2nd of May. This is based in a world where humans betrayed dragons, stole their magic, and banished them to a dying world. Centuries later, the descendants of those people worship the dragons as gods. We follow our main character Arcady, who is a thief, and they steal a magical artifact. When the magical artifact is used, a spell connects to Everin, who is the last male dragon. He ends up being pulled through the veil into their world, but he is trapped in human form. The only way for him to regain his power and his true form is to convince the thief to trust him so that he can bond to them, mind, body, and soul, and then kill them. It says the closer the two become, the greater the risk both their worlds will shatter. Next we have The Malevolent Seven by Sebastian de Castell. This is due out on the 11th of May. I don't know much about this. I know it is a fantasy book. The author is known for writing witty characters with lots of banter. We're following our main character, who is called Cade Umbra, who has made his living as a mercenary. However, he is now on the run with his only friend, a homicidal thunder mage, who has invited him to join him on a suicide mission against the 7 deadliest mages in the continent. It says, time to recruit some very bad people to help us on the job. Next we have The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. This is also due to be released on the 11th of May. We follow 2 characters in this book, a boy who has lived his entire life trapped in a library, and the girl that has spent hers in a tiny settlement out in the dust where nightmares stalk and nobody goes. It says, the world has never even noticed them. That's about to change. Their stories spiral around each other across worlds and time. This is a tale of truth and lies and hearts and the blurring of one into another. A journey on which knowledge erodes certainty, and on which, though the pen may be mightier than the sword, blood will be spilled and cities burned. Next up we have The First Bright Thing by J.R. Dawson. This is due for release on the 22nd of June, and it is historical fiction / fantasy based in a world still reeling from the First World War, and we follow our main characters that work in this circus, and they are travelling around just trying to bring a spark of joy to people after the war. But it also says that the future holds an impending war that the sparks can see barreling toward their show and everyone in it, and Rin's past creeps closer every day, a malevolent shadow she can't fully escape. It takes the form of another circus, with tents as black as midnight and a ringmaster who rules over his troupe with a dangerous power. Rin's circus has something he wants, and he won't stop until it's his. This sounds so good. I love the concept of 2 rival circus groups going head to head in a battle of magic. It sounds very exciting, and I like how dark and evil the other circus sounds. I feel like this is going to be really, really good. Next up we have The Whispers by Ashley Audrain. This is due to be released on the 20th of July. Ashley Audrain released her debut novel, The Push, I think in 2021, which was kind of a domestic / psychological thriller, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to her second book, which looks to be another domestic thriller / mystery. This seems to follow a bunch of families that live on this street. It says, over the course of a week, hidden and explosive truths that connect these families must come out. Exploring envy, motherhood, and the intuitions that we silence. This is a novel that asks what happens when good people make bad choices. I don't think I need to know anything else about this book. I really enjoyed The Push. I really hope this is as good. Next we have The Wren in the Holly Library by K.A. Lind. This is going to be released on the 1st of August. It's a paranormal / low fantasy set in our world, and it's described as a darker shade of magic meets Six of Crows in this alternate day New York where monsters live among humankind. And finally on my list we have Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This is due out on the 10th of October, and I believe it is an adult fantasy and the first book in a new series. We follow an author called Kel, who has been stolen from the life he knew to become a sword catcher, which is a body double of the royal heir. He's raised alongside the prince and trained in combat, and they become close as brothers. But Kel obviously only has one destiny, which is to die for the prince. It says, after a failed assassination attempt brings Lynn and Kel together, they are drawn into the web of the mysterious Ragpicker King, the criminal ruler of Castellan's underworld. He offers them each what they want most, but as they descend into the world of intrigue and shadow, they discover a conspiracy of corruption that reaches from the darkest gutters of Castellan to the highest tower of its palaces. As long-kept secrets begin to unravel, they must ask themselves, is knowledge worth the price of betrayal? Can forbidden love bring down a kingdom? And will Lynn and Kel's discoveries plunge their nation into war and the world into chaos? So there you have it. That is all of my anticipated releases for 2023 so far. I really hope you found this helpful. Is there any of the books that you liked the sound of? Do you think you're going to look into any of these? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like the video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time.